The Democrats were the ones that were for slavery. The Democrats were the ones that came up with the Jim Crow stuff.
Even if all of that were true about slavery, which party flies the Confederate flag today?
A lot of the Democrats.
You really think Democrats fly the Confederate flag
There's
more
Democrats
than Republicans?
yes.
Overwhelmingly, you'll see a Confederate flag right next to a Trump flag. That's just how it works nowadays.
No, I haven't seen that overwhelmingly.
You really? You think,
Where?
was it Democrats or Republicans trying to take down Confederate statues?
Confederate statues?
Which party was trying to take down Confederate statues?
What's the statue got to do with?
You're saying that Democrats are pro-Confederate, but weren't Democrats trying to remove Confederate statues?
Why are they doing that?
Because they're anti-Confederate.
No, they're not.
Why are they trying to remove the statues then?
Because they're trying to change the history of our country. You know what? Take your camera and go interview all these black people that are here, okay?
Yeah.
And you ask them.
The three black people that are here?
If you ask them. I worked for a company for 26 years. And back in March, I just got terminated from that company.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry.
All right, you want to know what I got terminated for?
Not being vaccinated?
No, for my religious beliefs.
Really?
For my religious beliefs, because they were trying to force me to refer to the transgenders, whom I got along with all of them. We had great relationship. You know, we had gay people working there and transgenders working there, and I got along perfectly with all of those people, right? But there were two other managers that didn't like the fact that I told them, you know, I used the person's name. I don't refer to a he as a she or a she as a he, because it violates my religious practices and beliefs in God. He created them male and female, you know, and because of that, they retaliated against me. And I ended up getting terminated.
There's got to be more to this, though. There wasn't
very
ever,
unfair.
There was
very
never any
unfair.
back and forth, like a fight between you guys or anything. There's got to be more to.
Only the managers. Only the managers. There's one time that I accidentally said she about a person transgendering from female to male.
I would bet so much money that there's more to the story that this guy's not telling us. He's clearly withholding key information that makes him look bad, but we're gonna get back to that later in the video. First, here's a quick history lesson. The modern day political parties are unrecognizable from what they looked like 100 years ago because they switched in the 1960s when the Democratic Party began to embrace more liberal values like civil rights and the Republican Party began to embrace more conservative values. This guy knows this, but he's being intellectually dishonest, which is funny because he also says this.
And that would be a lie for me to say, you know, hey, he is a she, and that would be a lie, and we're not supposed to lie.
So he'll lie on camera about the history of America, but can't use someone's preferred pronouns if it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable in the workplace.
And first time they gave me 2 write-ups, and then they
What were the write-ups
terminated.
for in particular? Because I feel like there's more to this. Like I want to know exactly what.
Well, they're going to do, and again, I was a manager, and they're going to do, they put things very general, right? But on the day that they terminated me, I said, well, what's the grounds that you're terminating me for? And they said, well, because you won't refer to the transgenders by their preferred pronoun. They were trying to have me violate my convictions in that, and they were making it hard. And there were times when like the transgender, the one did they were very rude, obnoxious, gestures to me. Like, the girl, which was transgendering to a boy, would make bent over and said, here, take my temperature. And that. So I was the one being harassed.
Yeah.
It was statistically impossible for Biden to get that many votes with that much of the vote already in. There wasn't that many votes left. He was like 800,000 ahead.
Yeah.
And still Biden in that short amount of time. So common sense, again.
When the mail-in ballots started coming in, we knew that those were going to be overwhelmingly Democrat due to COVID. Trump had spent the past few months undermining mail-in ballots, saying don't send in your mail-in ballots, they're going to rig them. So no Republicans sent in mail-in ballots. That's why you see 90% of mail-in ballots going for Democrats, right?
Do you know what Jimmy Carter said about mail-in ballots when they had? He said that is not to do that, because that is one way for sure that cheating and taking the election that we have and the process that we have and undermining it. It's so easy to do that.
Jimmy Carter also thinks Trump is a threat to our democracy.
We're going to listen to Jimmy Carter about Trump being a threat to democracy, but we're not going to listen to Jimmy Carter when he says, oh, hey, wait a minute, having all these ballots
We're going to listen
bad.
to Trump saying you don't use mail-in ballots when he's used mail-in ballots himself in Florida?
Mail-in ballots, to me, you know, if you think about it, especially with the voter rolls and stuff, ask yourself this. Why are Democrats so against voter ID?
States were using voter ID to target black communities with surgical precision.
Talking point. That's a talking point. How does voter ID do that? You give me one good example of how voter ID, you're telling me that black people are not smart
When
enough.
you have a single parent household or two parents that are working all the time and someone turns 18 or 16, a lot of times you don't have the resources or the time to go get these IDs.
Again, the Supreme Court upheld a ruling that said these voter ID laws targeted black communities with almost surgical precision. Forms of identification commonly used by black voters, like public assistance IDs, were outlawed, which only created more barriers for black voters or other voters who just didn't have the means to acquire the type of ID they needed in time. Republican voters love to spin this as Democrats thinking black voters are just too dumb, but it's a real thing. I have an insane amount of interviews that I'm ready to post, so just like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.